the pandemic and everyone's been getting stimulus checks, so they all think that they're experts at the stock market. But like, a lot of my work is collaborative with other people, other people's projects, and I think that lends itself to being open to other mind frames and other visions that aren't solely my own. And I think that's the cool part about fashion and art and stuff is it's kind of you can have 1,000 people working on one thing, or you can have one person working on one thing, and that's just really really attractive to me in a business sense of things. It's kind of like something else I was trying to look into getting into is like angel investing.
Nice.
Yeah, and finding things to put my money in and be behind. I mean, I know with the pandemic and everyone's been getting stimulus checks, so they all think that they're experts at the stock market. But like, just from that's something that I've also been interested in, for many years, and like I try and be savvy with my money. I'm not like an idiot with my cash, so so that's kind of another thing I want to try and get into, in the next year, 2 years, 5 years, whatever. Just to keep the focus on the music and, obviously every drive towards that. But with music, especially, kind of another point that you mentioned earlier, I think along the lines of like feeling stagnant, is music is always going to be there, and it's an ever-changing thing. You can work on music at like 3 a.m. or 3 p.m. There's no time crunch for it. You can release one song a week or one song a year. It's a project or a music career is always going to be there. So it's kind of finding really cool, different, I guess, artistic or different things to do in the interim and in that time period where, you don't really want to work on music, but at the same time, you don't really have any deadlines and, you don't have any commitments. So that's kind of what I'm trying to think about, what to fill that space up with. Because, there is a lot of time where I am so fucking busy with my project and other people's projects and different, components of the music industry. But there's also times where I'm kind of just sitting around twiddling my thumbs.
Yeah. I know that feeling, man. I hate that feeling.
Yeah,
but
I mean, me too. But it's natural. But I'm a workaholic through and through. So I'm just trying to think of different ways to keep busy.
No, you know what? You're very smart, and I think that's the way to go because, well, I relate with you in many, many different ways, and I've said things on this podcast throughout the years, so a lot of the fans probably already know this, but I actually come from the fashion industry. Before I did music, I did designing and stuff like that. And as a kid, I've always been a multitasker, and I remember, I grew up here in LA. So for me, I remember in the music scene specifically, it's changed now, like it's different now. But I remember being younger, there was this sentiment that music needed to be all you did, like no matter where you went, if you went to the clubs or you went to like the studio or wherever you went, there was, and it wasn't like said, but you get what I'm saying. There's like a feeling, you just felt it. People were like, yeah, this is all I do. And this is like my job. And I eat and breathe music, whether it was production, whether it was like dance music or singing or whatever, that's all they did. And I remember feeling like such an oddball because I had my hands in different pies, and it was considered like a weird thing that I was this designer / entrepreneur / musician, and it was like, well, where's your focus at? And my mind would be like, well, on everything. Like it isn't just on one thing. I'm very good at everything that I do, and I just kind of shift my focus. I feel like that is becoming the norm now. Not so much anymore like how it used to be before, but I do find that a lot of the smart artists like you understand that there are moments where, like you said, music will always be there, but there are just moments where your brain is just either burnt out or it just needs a break. And sometimes people need leisure time, but there are people like me who leisure time is great, but it doesn't do anything to fuel my creativity. But I find that working on other things gives me ideas for music stuff and vice versa. It is a weird ping pong thing. And I wonder if you feel like your brain is the same way.
Yeah, I think I can definitely relate, to you with that. I think it's just, you know, without sounding too much like a dickhead, it's
I
I
don't think you sound like a dickhead, dude. You're fine.
when you know, a few years ago when everyone was like, yeah, like music is all I do, music is, you know, everything to me. Like that's great. But you know, in the social setting, you know, regardless of, you know, your own mentality and your own accomplishments, in the social setting, I felt like a few years ago when people were solely saying that, it was kind of just to stroke their own ego, you know, and
Mm.
again, without sounding like a cunt, like it's just, and I'm British, I can say that word. So without,
Yeah, you have official permission. It's been notarized by the Queen and everything.
yeah, I'm all good on that. But yeah, I think I think people just like to say it because it stroked their ego. Because, you know, as we were saying before, music is a very shunned thing in regards to, you know, public interest and funding and career choices. You know, whenever, you know, a lot of people want their kids to be lawyers or doctors, and if someone turns around and goes, I want to be a musician, their parents are like, what the fuck? Like luckily that never happened for me. You know, I've always had a such a supportive system around me in terms of parenting. But yeah, I think when people say that they just want their sole thing to just be music, I think it's their way of, you know, flexing on the other people of like, yeah, I can survive off music. I can solely live
Mm.
in my rent. I can, you know, fund my fucking Roth IRA with money from music, and that's dope. You know, like that is an accomplishment, and congratulations. But that should be something that, you know, you pertain to yourself, and that you should hold dear to your heart of an accomplishment that you've made yourself. I don't think like it should be a social flex. I mean, it's the same with people who wear gaudy clothes and, you know, try and show off how much money or how little money that they have through that. It's just I see it in the same kind of vein. You know, I feel like at least for me personally, you know, don't get me wrong. I'm so proud of anyone who's ever made music their sole income and are able to afford to live off it. But for me myself, when I speak to someone, and the people that I really resonate with are people who are like, yeah, I do this, I do this, I do this, I do this, and, you know, all of those things have a somewhat level of success. I and I worry about the kind of naivety of having one thing that they solely rely on, because as we've seen, you know, the past year and a half, it's just been so detrimental to people whose only income was off touring. You know, because
Yeah.
they're fucked. Like, and in the nicest way, possible. I don't remember if I said this to you last time, but, you know, I've seen kids who survived off like dubstep shows just lose everything. You know, they had to move back with their parents. They had to, you know, sell all the nice shoes that they bought, and it's just horrible. So yeah, I definitely think the social stigma of just being a musician is some kind of ego flex. But yeah, for me personally, I can't do that.
I'm glad. No, and it is true. Like there were so many people that, I mean, because the world operated the exact same way for so long. So to me, it's like I totally get why, but I feel like also, excuse me, I feel like also kind of going a step forward. I think it's all about knowing who you are too, because I find that again for me, and it seems like for you too, there's always been a genuine curiosity in a lot of different things. Like, and to be perfectly honest with you, and I hope this doesn't make me sound like an asshole, but like I'm a drummer, and that was like my main music, my introduction to music for a long time, and I played with a lot of people. But if I can be honest with you, I can't just play drums. I find it so boring just to play
Yeah,
drums every day. And to be perfectly honest, this is not like a dig at drummers, but most drummers would hear that and they look at you with a stink eye. They're like, what do you mean you get tired of playing drums? I'm like, dude, I'm sorry. Like, I only practice if I have to go on tour. Otherwise, I rarely touch the drums anymore. Like, I kind of learned all that I wanted to learn up until this point. I'm pretty good. And if I need to learn something, I will. But otherwise, I have other things I got to do. And I've always been like that. And I feel like it's a lot of people have been like that too. They just have never had the opportunity to be that in public. In terms of the creative, we're talking about like the creative world here.
yeah,
And I'm glad to see that it's changing. I'm glad to see that there's a lot of people who are more comfortable being like a multitasker. But also, I would argue that it also depends on who you are, because there are certain people out there that really just need to focus on one thing, and they do
yeah,
really, really well in that one thing. So it's about just figuring out who you are in that spectrum.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Hopefully that doesn't make me sound like an asshole too, just being like, I can't stand the drums. But dude, no, I'm glad that you're on the same page. I'm curious, what kind of things would you invest in if you could? Like if you wanted to start investing today, I'm not sure if you have already, but like what industries interest you?
I mean, like fintech is a very obviously cliche one, and I think there's, with Silicon Valley and everything, there's an abundance of money, and I couldn't hold a candle to some of these other investors. But I don't know, bro. I just it's kind of I don't even like know what specific sectors I would be interested in. I think if the time came to it and something was presented to me and I vibed with it, I think I would be down for it regardless of kind of what sector it's in, because I think as you know, one of the most beautiful things about it is it's just so hands off. Like you're essentially just a bank. You're a bank, and you earn interest and all that kind of shit. But yeah, I think I would love to get into I'd love to find like a really cool like I don't know, for example, like a graphic designer who even just little things like that, who needs a new computer or needs a new setup or needs a new, like a photographer who needs a new studio and things like that, and it be like kind of a collaborative thing on that. I think the bigger kind of industries and the bigger companies would be too tricky, and obviously but there's still a way to earn money from that by owning shares of a company and stock trading and all that kind of stuff, which I've already been doing. But yeah, I think like the angel investment thing, if it ever happened, I think it would be really cool to keep on a smaller scale and a more personable thing. Just because there is so many sectors of at least the music industry and the arts industry in general that, like, as as we mentioned, from the government and stuff, it's just so underfunded.
Yeah.
And to be a part of that, or to there's that I think they're a charity, like Music Cares or whatever.
Yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah.
Just things like that, like just cool things like that. I'm just kind of putting some feelers out and seeing where I can go with that, and just hopefully help some people out whilst not filling up my plate too much with a workload. I think that's kind of ideally where I would want to be with that.
Yeah. See, I love hearing that. I love hearing when people are going that route, because it's such a fun place to be in when you have a lot of those things. And you're right, like with investment, it depends on who you invest in, obviously. But I don't know, like I think it's such a great place to be in. And when it comes to graphic design or like fashion, I'm curious, what kind of brands do you like? I'm just because you seem like someone who would like enjoy very fashion forward streetwear, but I don't know. I'm just kind of taking a guess based on what I've seen you wear. I don't know. But
yeah, I mean, there's obviously like the kind of more streetwear brands are cool. Being in LA a lot, it kind of just taints the vision of, a few years ago Off-White would have been cool, but now it's just absolute fucking trash.
dude, I love your honesty, man. I love it.
Yeah, well, it's just how I feel now. It might change in a few years' time, but I think the premise of how Virgil Abloh gets his designs and he steals from younger designers, I think, is a bit of a cop out. But anyway, there's a company, right, called Los Angeles Apparel, right? And the clothes are quite expensive. I mean, it's more of the high end kind of stuff, but it's one of those brands where you buy it and you can wear it every day for so many years. And I don't invest in this company. I have no equity in this company, just like I really like fuck with it. And I have some of their clothes, and the cool thing is I might get this a little bit wrong, but from as memory serves, it's something along the lines of they operate out of downtown LA, and I think they either work with like the homeless population or the immigrant population from Mexico and stuff. I can't remember the specifics behind it, but it's some kind of arm of the company like that. And on every piece of clothing, there's like on the tag it says who helped make it from.
That's cool.
From kind of like I wouldn't say impoverished area of society, but like, you know, like just
Less
even,
fortunate. Less
yeah,
fortunate.
less fortunate. That's the right time. But like from the less fortunate kind of part of society, and but it's really fucking well made clothes. It's simple. There's no branding on it. It's just like basics, like sweatsuits and hoodies and jumpers and crew necks and stuff. But it's just that with any brand that I really like. I mean, I'm guilty of, you know, buying hype shoes like everyone is, but like it,
Do you
it
have any
does.
Supremes? You have any
No,
Supreme?
not anymore. I used to flip Supreme when when I was
Oh,
younger.
smart man. Yeah.
But yeah, just that area of fashion, and there's a lot of other companies doing it where there's a way that they're giving back to the less fortunate community while still retaining really good quality and just a really good company ethos, you know, a really good message that they're putting out there. So that's the one I can name off the top of my head is Los Angeles Apparel, but I know there's a few others doing the same kind of thing, but that's the kind of movement per se that I really attribute to enjoying, I guess.
Yeah. This message has been brought to you by Los Angeles Apparel. No, dude, I love where your mind is going. It reminds me of this other company called Love Your Melon, which is, I'm pretty sure a lot of people have heard of that one. That's the one with the beanies. That they're based out of the Midwest. Really, really good beanies. And what they do is that you buy one, and then they give one away to kids who are sick. But the cool thing is, like, the CEOs, the two guys that started it, every month they go to like hospitals and they dress up as superheroes and they like hand out all this stuff. Like it's the coolest thing. Like their mission, like I can totally get behind a brand who does that. Who, like, their whole mission is to elevate society in some way. That's what it's about. You know, obviously the fashion is important too, but I totally echo what you're feeling. TISOKI, I mean, like, dude, Bradley, you are a pretty cool dude. Like, when I really get a chance to understand where your mind is going, there's so much more to you than just music. That's the cool part of it, and that you're comfortable with that. I love that you're just exploring your options and seeing where else can this brand take you.